I'm about to reveal to you how this one project was able to go from $0 to $28 million in total value locked in only 24 hours after launching with $0 spent in marketing. And the reason why this video is important to you and why you're going to want to stick around is because as part of what we do at Unfungible, our goal is to help brands support their launch and scaling efforts in Web3. And the biggest challenge, we call this the graveyard of all Web3 projects, is to get that cold start problem figured out. The cold start problem, that initial window where projects are trying to get traction, and they end up spending all their marketing dollars to get that lift off, but then a lot of them never end up doing so. This is the graveyard of most Web3 projects. And this video is going to show you the fundamentals that you can apply today into your project so you can get that cold start problem solved without, in the case of this example, spending a single dollar in marketing. So the project that we're going to be looking at is that of ProjectX, who, as you can see, was able to attract $28 million in total value locked TVL, which stands for how much liquidity you have on your platform, in less than 24 hours. And as you can see, if I click here, they were able to achieve 40 million in 48 hours. What is interesting about ProjectX is the contributor of the project, one of the people behind the project, is actually called Lambo Land, who was a year and a half, close to 2 years ago, was head of marketing of a project that we actually reviewed on this channel, and it was Pac Moon, and it ended up doing very well. Its whole gamified social-fi loop, it had a very unique gamified social-fi elements to it, which ended up making it a very famous project in the space. So Lambo today is a contributor to ProjectX, and what they are in a nutshell, they are a DEX, so a decentralized exchange on Hyper EVM, which is the infrastructure layer of Hyperliquid, which is a new L1 currently top 11 in market cap in crypto. And the reason I show you this and I share this is you're going to see how this is going to play an important part in the analysis of this marketing. One important thing that I want to share with you, during a DM thread with Lamboland, I asked him, what are the things that most contributed to the project's success? And he shared this with me, which I thought was very interesting. He said, also, this is a big part of my marketing strategy. Very important to make people desire what you are building before you try to educate and convert. Biggest mistake crypto marketers make is they try to educate before making people desire what they want. And as you can see right here, there's a screenshot. It says phase 1, desire, phase 2, educate, phase 3, convert. So what we are going to be focused on in today's video is that first phase. How were they able to create desire in the marketplace so that by the time they launched, people just wanted what they were building and they were able to attract all these millions of dollars of liquidity on their product? We're going to be focused on that. And I have identified 3 things that this project was able to do to architect and engineer a sense of desire on towards their project. So phase 1 that we have, and that is the phase we're going to be focused on for today's video, is desire. How were they able to create a sense of desire for their product? And the first way they were able to do it was by arbitraging trust and authority. Do you recall how at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that Lambo has previous experience in this space. He's built big products, and the guy has been around for 4 or 5 years now in this space. So I'm not kidding right now. And this right here is not an exaggeration. All it took for ProjectX to overcome the cold start problem, as you can see right here, was Lambo making a post that says, working on something new, put notice on. And this is a screenshot of ProjectX with 41 followers. And this post right here was able to get 300,000 views, 2.2K likes, and pretty much everyone in the industry that has a platform, that has an account, commented on this, which obviously supported in the project gaining reach. But the reason why I want to emphasize this is just to paint to you the importance of having a founder-led presence when it comes to building and launching your project. I'm going to simplify right here the cold start problem in very simple terms. Here's exactly what happens. And I know this because I've been on the doing end of getting this for people we work with, or on the receiving end of projects people coming to me for that support. Here's how it works. A team spends weeks working on their marketing material, and then they have a date on the calendar. When that date comes, they publish the first post announcing the kickoff of the project. And what they do is that they go around their network and they share that post with everyone in their network, asking them for support. They're like, hey, by the way, Leon, I remember that project I told you about. The first post is live. Would appreciate any support on it. And then you do this with 500 people that you know. This is how you see a post from a project that has just launched, that came out of nowhere. They all of a sudden, it seems like, how the hell were they able to get 2,000 likes or 2,000 retweets or 2,000 comments on there? This is one way of doing it. The second one is you have to buy your way in. And that's where a team, maybe they have no connections, but they have money. They make that post and then they try to artificially create what they would have originally created with the organic traction. So they make the post and then they get all the influencers. They pay all the influencers to help push that up. The second one will never work as good as the first one, because when a campaign is organic, it gets organic results. It gets follows, it gets organic engagement, which further pushes it up. But this right here is how the cold start problem gets overcome. I just explained to you how to solve all your Web3 marketing problems in one sentence. So in the case of Lamboland, the guy spent years building his brand, his connections, his friendships, and his resume in Web3. So all it took for him was just announcing that he was launching something new to get his networks and his connection to partake in engaging and supporting him on the timeline, as you can see. So this right here is why having a founder-led presence allows you to arbitrage your network. And that is why I speak so loudly and so fondly and so often about the founder funnel, because the only way to achieve these results, unless you are operating on crazy six-figure marketing budgets, to get these levels of impression and organic traction that's caught on the timeline. Look at how many retweets, 400 retweets. These are, if we are to go here, I'm going to show this to you. View post engagement, the level of quote retweets that this got from people that actually have audiences. I mean, just look at how many quote retweets he was able to get from a lot of creators that I personally know. These are all people that rally to support someone that they respect and that they support. And this brings us back to a book that I often reference, and this is my personal trusted handbook to understanding what makes people do things, which is the book Influence by Robert Cialdini, who speaks so much about the importance of authority. People listen to other authority figures. The fact that Lambo was well established, that he had a founder presence, allowed him to get the early traction. So this was the first thing that created desire. The second thing that created desire is the way he was able to launch that created speculation, which led to social proof. Here's what I mean. So speculation that led to social proof. A very simple framework that I like to follow when it comes to marketing is called the whisper, tease, and then shout, which is how you want to sequence the rollout of your launch. And you always want to first start off by whispering, then you tease when you shout. The real mistake that I see a lot of teams do is that they go from zero to shouting all of a sudden. They're like, our platform is live, our token is live, our whitelist is live. They start by shouting. And then what they miss is they miss all the traction that they were able to get from the initial steps. You see, something I learned from Web 2 marketing is you always want to try to find a way to elongate your marketing as long as possible of a duration. Let's say you have a book coming out, or you have a new product coming out, or you have a launch coming out. People will not remember it if they hear of it one time. They need to see it many times across many different touch points. And the only way for you to be able to achieve that is to elongate the way you do marketing. Just think of Alex Hermosi, for example, with his book launch. The way he started by whispering it was actually 2 years ago. After he launched his second book, at the end of the launch, he was like, and by the way, guys, I have the third book that is already ready. This was him starting to whisper. It was blurred. People couldn't tell what it was, but it was like, it's coming. So the whisper of the book started 2 years ago. And I remember when I would sit down with my friends, we would be like, yeah, like he has his third book coming out. When is it? No idea. But he has a third book. That's an example of whispering. Then over the last couple months, he started talking a little bit more about the book that he has up and coming. So he started teasing the idea. He was like, I have the biggest project that I've worked on in a while. The next book that I'm about to write is going to revolutionize the marketing space. He was talking about the book more often. So it all of a sudden felt like, oh, this was around the corner. And this was the tease phase of his launch. And then only a couple weeks ago, he made the big announcement. He was like, August, the book is launching. And that's when he kicked off the whole marketing, the big marketing push. But that was the shout. But by that time, I and a lot of people knew that he had a book coming out. So we had already heard the message 3, 4, 5 times. Versus imagine him just announcing it and shouting all of a sudden, it would not have had the same impact. So the way Lambo launched ProjectX, which spent a lot of time in whisper and tease, and the shout is when they announced the official project launch. So this is for them, this was the shout. When they were like, ProjectX is live, this is what it is. This kicked off a second phase of the marketing, which was acquisition. That's a different story. But for the desire, a lot of the desire was created during the whisper and the tease phase of their marketing. And what happened, because he did not reveal too much, it created speculation. And speculation gives creators the material that they need to create content on the timeline. Created social proof. So here's how crypto Twitter works. I'm about to explain to you crypto Twitter in very simple terms. Crypto Twitter can be explained through game theory, which is every player is looking after themselves. And if that also means supporting another project, then they will do it. What do I mean? People are after two things. They're after money or they're after engagement. When people on the timeline, creators, saw Project X launching from a creator that they support, that they respect, but the project didn't have a lot of information about it, what this gave them is material to farm engagement. It was material for them to create post content. People were just taking screenshots from, hey, Project X early alpha, turn on notification. What do you think this could be? Lambo is up to something. It just created extra speculation, which gave people ammunition to shoot content on the timeline that is going to perform because this is new, this is novel, and new and novel performs. So the fact that they were able to start by creating speculation that was powered by the first pillar, which is trust and authority, created social proof. So the whole timeline started speculating about what the hell this was going to be. And the more people started speculating about it, the more people wanted to start speculating about it. And it created this infinite loop where all of a sudden Project X was able to garner millions of impressions in the first launch days of it happening. So this is how, when you combine the whisper tease shout methodology with an established trusted founder presence, you have the ability to all of a sudden engineer organic conversation on the timeline. Which finally brings us to the third and personally I think most important element that led to the project achieving the results that it had was them hijacking a very hyped narrative. I just want to paint this to you. Project X, right here on May 23rd, it was announced on May 23rd. May 23rd, if we are to look at Hyperliquid's chart, May 23rd, right here. So by that time, Hype was at $28. It had just almost 2.5x since its all-time low. A lot of people had made a lot of money. It was actually closing in on an all-time high. As you can see, the all-time high was previously $30. So it was like at the cusp of making an all-time high. A lot of people had made a lot of money buying this dip right here. The sentiment around Hyperliquid as a chain, as an ecosystem was incredibly hot. And by Lambo building on top of an meta that was hot, that people were already supporting, he was able to get all that traction, all that attention that was going to Hyperliquid towards his project. I'll give you this example. Imagine if they did the two things that we spoke about. So the whisper, tease, shout, and the trusted authority figure. But then, instead of building a DEX on Hyperliquid, Lambo decided to launch a Web3 gaming project whose sentiment and meta is underwater. This would not have performed as well. I don't think it would have performed 10% as much as it did. And the strategic play from Lambo's part is betting on a narrative that is already trusted, that already has traction. By the way, Moon, the previous project that he made his name with, was able to leverage an arbitrage exactly just that. They were able to leverage an arbitrage blast, a new chain that came out, and it was the thing that was most talked about. So you see a pattern, you see a recurring pattern, spotting a chain or an ecosystem early that has traction. That is the DNA that allows you, if you are one of the first to build the flagship big product on it, will allow you to hitchhike all the attention and all the support and all the liquidity of all the people that made a lot of money from that chain. You have the ability to funnel that into your product. And this is why fundamentally Web3 is a brutal industry to build in, because metas come and go. I personally know founders that were number one during the Web3 gaming era and the Web3 gaming meta. Today, no one's talking about them. Same thing, I've seen that happening during the AI agent. Today, the narrative is not as hot, although I do foresee it picking back up. So Web3 is very narrative driven, and the hard part is how much it changes. The narratives always are changing. And this is where one of the ways to overcome this is, how do you mold your project to speak to the narrative of the day? I'll give you an example. One of the clients that we currently have today, the very first time I had a conversation with them was summer of 2024. That project originally positioned themselves as a gaming ecosystem. Gaming faded away, projects were going out of business, TGEs were failing, and they looked at this and they were like, ooh, what do we do? And that's where the team sat there and they thought, okay, although the project is originally designed to cater for the gaming industry, our technology is very unique and there's something very powerful about it. They say that they are the fastest blockchain in the world, which is a feat of great engineering that can be used by all the other industries, including AI agents, including RWAs, including gaming, all of that. So what was originally technology built for gaming, because for gaming you need like split-second transaction speeds, they were able to use that narrative of their technology to appeal to other metas. And today they are one of the hottest top 3 pre-TGE projects, and they're on track to do amazing stuff. And that's how a project can morph who they are and who they speak to, depending on what the meta, which is a way of protecting themselves as well. So that's it. Going back to Hyperliquid, big reason for their success was betting early on hype. And here's the final thing that I'm going to say about betting on a narrative. The worst thing you can do is look like you've become a maxi on a narrative just because it is hot. Lamboland, before even starting to talk about his project, was making threads about Hyperliquid. He was making threads about hype as an ecosystem. So either it was to warm up his audience about what was coming, or it was because he was personally very passionate, very interested. And from the conversation thread that we have together, he was like, bro, I was just excited about ProjectX. That's why I decided to work with them. I was excited about that they were building on Hyperliquid. So for him, he was already a bull of the ecosystem and he was talking about it. So it's not like came out of nowhere and he was like, Hyperliquid, and we're building on there. So you cannot today pivot from the new narrative out of nowhere. The industry is going to reject you like the body rejects a foreign body. If you try to put someone else's organ in your body, the body's going to reject it. That's what's going to happen to you. We've seen people try to do this, launching ordinals collections, just because ordinals was hot back in the days. And that didn't work. So these three things, ladies and gentlemen, to architect desire, they were able to arbitrage trust and authority, create speculation that led to social proof, and then hijack a very hyped narrative. And honestly, their sequence of posts was very simple. They only had one post on ProjectX. I think they had no post on ProjectX actually when they launched. Like, it was a super simple launch. You could see right here. Boom. Like, guys, this is the perfect case study of why the founder funnel is so important. They announced the first post on ProjectX was just 24-hour countdown of the launch. So the project was entirely launched off that of the faces behind the project. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Leon Aboud. If we're not already following each other on X, make sure you follow me at leonaboud_. And finally, go to unfungible.xyz and apply on the website if you are a Web3 founder or a marketer looking to scale your brand and presence in the space. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.